Ready, set, go. All right, trees. Little technical difficulties here. I think I got the mic working and everything, but let's quickly get into making a tree. Uh, there are lots of different ways you can kind of go about doing this. There's as many different kind of trees as you can possibly imagine. You can make them very abstract. You can make them dark. You kind of make them silhouetted because we're making this on at least the one I'm doing right now is sort of a sunset-y kind of picture. Does not need to be that at all. You can make the kind of triangle-ish kind of trees, like, evergreens, Christmassy trees or holiday trees. You could also make them kind of more lollipop-y and add a bunch of different pieces to it. I'm going to make ones that are a little bit kind of round and lollipop-ish and combine a number of ellipses together to make one. So let's get started with that. First, we already have the keep clicking on the wrong screen here. We already have this kind of scene going where we have the mountains in the background and the sun and this gradient here. I think if I could, or if I had time to do this, and maybe I'll show you a finalized version after all of this. But I think I would make the gradient here at the bottom too. Make it so it looks like it's kind of getting darker as it goes into the distance, and use that same kind of gradient technique, that for loop gradient technique at the bottom. In this case, what I'm going to do is I could use that same gradient idea with a tree, like a trunk, or even make it kind of look like a sphere if I was trying to do something like the tree here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by putting one or two smaller trees out here. I'm going to start with just using little like kind of circles when I do this, and I'm going to say, let's see, we'll do this one at 302-163. Now remember, I want to kind of do this down a ways, and the trees I want to actually have be above on top of the background, or the green ground is what I meant to say. So this will be, I'll say tree 1. Because I'm going to have more than one tree, and I want to make sure that it's clear which one I'm editing as I go. I've already forgotten what my time was there. Let's see. All right, coordinates 326 and 152. 326, comma 152. All right, so that'll give me my X and Y coordinate, and now I need to give it a size. And since the sun in the background there is a little bit bigger, I'm going to go ahead and say that the width and height are going to be that. Now let's see how that works. So that's not too bad. It's probably a little high on that horizon for where I want it to be. And I think what I'll do is I'll move this one down a little bit. So remember, y, positive y is down. So to do that, I'm going to move this one down, oh, I don't know. Let's go down 172. Is that going to get down too far? That's not bad. Now, what I want to be able to do with this also is kind of maybe take a couple of them and place them together. So I'm going to do 3 in this case, and I'm going to move my X and Y a little bit to kind of give it a little bit different shape. And this one I'll move, well, let's go up more, or right more, so I'll go 30. And so these are just going to be all ellipses of the same color that I want to kind of all place together and kind of scooch around. Let me move one up a little bit, and one, that's going to probably be too much, but let's see. That's way too much, actually. Yeah, way too much. All right, so I want to keep it maybe 182. And if I kind of place these together and give myself a little bit of positioning with it, they should work out a little bit better. Now I'm going to change the color of this just a little bit so that my green doesn't blend in immediately with the other background green. So let's do a fill command, and let's find a fill maybe that would probably be a little bit, maybe more tree-ish. So 2269, just Control C or Command C, depending on what Mac or PC. If I go ahead and do that, let me see. That gives me a little bit darker kind of tree shape. Now, I'm going to probably move this last one that I have down up a little and kind of give me a little bit of space for it. Lastly, what I want to do here is I want to put in a rectangle so that I can give the tree a structure. Now, You by no means need to make a trunk, and that you can actually have all your trees be a whole series of different triangles. I've had students do this in the past where we generate lots and lots of little triangles or lots and lots of little leaf shapes to create a very interesting looking tree. Just like that, you could even change the shape of some of these ellipses so they're not so circular and so that they kind of stretch out a little bit more. Here I've just moved one. Oops, let me pause on the rectangle. Here, I've done one where it's kind of stretched it a little bit in the X, and that kind of gives it a little bit more of a, let me zoom in on that one quickly. Here you can see it's got a little bit more of a, you know, tree-ish shape or more amorphous shape. So that gives us an option to do that, but what I want to do is I want to give it at least a little tiny bit of a rectangle here. And I'm going to steal the mountain brown for a moment as my fill. And I can make this a little bit darker by just, you know, picking each of these values and dropping each of them by 10. So this is a kind of a, playing with the color is really something that going to give you depth. Things that are, you know, further away are probably going to be darker and smaller, and just like we're talking about your perspective and your view, you also want those things to be the bigger, closer things or tend to be brighter and clearer. So let me do the rectangle here. I need it to be at let's do 324, 190, 324, 190. Comma, and then I don't need it to be very wide. I'm just going to say 10, but I do want it to be fairly long, so I'm going to say 20. Now, this is probably going to be too big, but let's see what our result is. And you can see it's a little bit off to the side. Let me move it to the left. So that's I'm going to change my just a little bit. And as you see, I'm just kind of like working through and playing with this. If we look at that one now up a little bit closer, you can see that it kind of looks very, kind of looks tree-like, cartoony still, but tree-like. And what I'd like to do here is maybe put the rectangle behind all of it. So when it generates that one, I'll take the rectangle and the fill and put that as the trunk. And this would be a great place to put in little notes. So say this is the trunk. This one I can say brown or tree brown. Down here you could say, you know, tree top. By adding all those comments, it not only helps the viewers or those that are going to be looking at it, your peers, but it'll help you as you code it. So here you can see now I've got this kind of interesting shaped tree. That's turned out pretty good considering I just kind of didn't go off notes on that one. That was just amazing. All right, so let's do one other thing here. I can copy this particular tree that we just have here, our tree 1. I can copy this tree now and say I want to make a tree 2. And we could do this with a function, and if you want to be ambitious and want to create one as a function, you're welcome to do that. But right now what I've done is I've made another one, but it's actually right on top of that one. And we want it to not just be on top of it, but move it over. So here we're going to use a tricky little command called translate. And what I'm going to do with that translate command is, just think of the translate command as a move command. Just when you think translate, think move. It's not translating language or doing anything like that. It's translating its location to another spot. So we're going to say translate, and let's just move it over for the sake of this one. 40 from where it is. When we run this one now, assuming I didn't screw it up, you can see now I've got 2 little trees there. And that's a good way you could actually do it with a function. We could actually have it populate randomly and put in lots of little trees randomly. So each time you would run the program, it would give you a unique image. And that would be a great way to take it further. So right now, here's a particular one. I could also, instead of just doing a translate, I can do a scale command. Now, scaling is a little bit tricky because it uses a couple different parameters. And let's see if we have to look this one up. So here you can see now I've got it scaled, so it's moved closer to the camera, or closer in towards us. Scaling is somewhere between 1 and 2. Let me make it be 1.5, and I'm going to lower this one down to 20. Let's run that one more time. Now you can see it's actually moved it so far over and up because it's being translated from that other location. What I really need to do here is, instead of making it go translate positively, I need to have it translate back. So let's do that and see if that helps us get it back on the screen a little bit. Let's bring it back on all of them. Let's bring this back negative 40 and make this one the same. Will that change it? So now I've got another tree, and it's scaled it up and brought it this way. Now they're identical trees. I could easily come in here and maybe shift the way they are, maybe make this one be the 9 and this one be the 7, and fiddle around with it. These are your kind of your paintbrushes. As you tweak these numbers, it's going to give you a different texture and a different size and a different shape. Don't be afraid to play with those numbers. You can always go back to the previous version. So that's how I'd go about doing trees. You could do it with triangles. You could make all kinds of different shapes within there. Make sure to save your project and tune in for the next video when we're going to start animating a couple of the things coming up.